From Idaho's News Channel 7, this is today's Morning News.
And we have breaking news out of the Boise foothills this morning. We have a wildfire near TableRock. Check out this video. It is just incredible to see this right here in the city of Boise. At least 4 structures have burned in this wildfire. 800 plus acres right now, according to the BLM. One of those structures, as far as we know, is a home. This fire began at about midnight, and TableRock Road, Shaw Mountain Road, and Wild Horse Lane are currently closed. Foothills residents in the area, some of them are back in their homes, some of them just watching the fire to see exactly where the winds push it. Our Doug Petcash is live this morning at the command post for this fire, talking with BLM. And Doug, what's the very latest?
Maggie, you summed it up really well there. 800 plus acres right now. The fire started just before midnight in this area back behind or near TableRock, and then it spread over to the east back towards Harris Ranch. It actually burned all the way down to the road at Warm Springs and Harris Ranch Road, and is now burning back into the foothills. And about we've been told that it's burning away from homes right now because of the wind direction has shifted to blowing the flames towards the north. We also have, I believe Paul can zoom in on this one that we do know is a house at this time. 4 structures damaged. That, what you're seeing right now, is what's left of a house in the foothills. This is all the closer we can get, of course, because this is a very active fire scene. I'm going to call in Boise Fire Chief Dennis Doan right now, who arrived on scene about a half hour ago and has been gathering the latest information from his people on the ground. So, Chief, can you just tell us about the progression of this and what happened this morning?
Well, it's burning in many different directions. You can see it's gotten into the Mesa subdivision, and we have a structure up here. We know that this house, we've lost this house. This is a second structure. I'm not sure if it's a home or an outbuilding. The wind is starting to help us a little bit. As soon as it gets light, we'll be able to get some planes in the air to assist us, but we had some erratic winds for a while. Right now it's kind of died down. The winds have helped us out.
Now, it's burned really quickly, but no mandatory evacuations were ordered. Was it because that the shift in direction, or why was that not necessary?
Yeah, usually mandatory evacuations are quite rare. It's when somebody's life is totally at risk and we're losing homes and we need to get people out. We don't have the fire under control, as you can see, but it's not burning into any other homes. So we haven't made it mandatory. I live right here over my shoulder. My wife keeps calling, asking if there's an evacuation, but everybody in the Dallas Harris Ranch subdivision is safe.
And no injuries have been reported so far, correct?
None that I know of. No firefighters or civilians have been injured.
Now, we've heard reports that some people saw perhaps fireworks being set off in the TableRock area. Have you heard anything about that, or anything that might lead to a possible cause for this fire?
I haven't heard that. I haven't heard a cause or that there were fireworks let off.
Because there was some lightning last night as well.
Yeah, I don't know what started it, if it was lightning or fireworks, but once it gets light, we'll start working on that, but we want to try to get the fire under control right now.
Now, is this an all-hands-on-deck situation for the Boise Fire Department?
Well, we still have some other engines in service, and we've called back some manpower to protect the city. We also have Bureau of Land Management here, and we've called in some automatic aid resources to help us too.
And how much help are you getting?
I know that Eagle is out here. I just heard them call for a dozer up here. That'll either come from Eagle or Bureau of Land Management. So lots of resources out here.
And what are you telling people to do at this time? Of course, whenever anything like this happens, people want to see it.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating for all the people driving around. We just need you to clear the streets. I was over here by my home, and the streets were clogged with people, and we can't get apparatus in, and we just need you to stay in your home and quit driving around on the streets.
Now, you talked about this structure that's right here behind us. You know that that's a house, and that's burned. So do you have structure protection as well as crews fighting that fire? And then we have this other, it's a structure fire, but not sure if it's a house also behind us.
Yeah, we have people, firefighters from Boise on both of those. This one I know is a home. It's right above my home. I can see it from my house, and we did lose it. And there are firefighters there, not only putting that one out, but fighting the wildland fire. And then up here we have a lot of resources trying to get this structure out too.
And then you also have your brush crews out?
Yeah, we have our engines doing structure protection, our brush rigs, and BLM out here.
All right, this is going to be a long day for the fire crews, I'm sure, and we're expecting another hot day, so I'd imagine you're going to be into a rotation system probably, right?
Yeah, we'll have shift change at 7, so a new crew will be coming in, and we'll hold some over, and we'll work out crew change. We'll hold some people over, though.
All right. Chief Dennis Doan with the Boise Fire Department, thank you very much, sir, for all the information, and hopefully we can check in with you throughout the morning. And you know, Maggie, when we came on the air at 3:30 this morning for a special report, you could see in this area back here, it was just a bright glow of orange as the fire was burning very strongly there. But that has since died down. The conjecture is, of course, that a lot of the brush in that area has burned and the fire has moved over that ridge. And so it's pretty dark right there right now. But earlier, that was burning very strongly. As the chief mentioned, the fire already had burned all the way down to Warm Springs Avenue as well as Harris Ranch Road. So it was coming close to those areas, but then the wind shifted and pushed it away from houses. That's why there are no mandatory evacuations right now. 4 structures, as we've mentioned, at least one house, possibly another one here in the TableRock area. We're going to keep checking with the BLM and the Boise Fire Chief. They're both here on scene at our at the media staging area at Marianne Williams Park. So we'll keep getting the latest information as they get it and bring it to you, Maggie. Any questions?
Yeah, I think it's important to mention, Doug, that Fire Chief Doan did tell you that everyone is safe in those area subdivisions right now. No one is in danger. That's important because a lot of people are calling our news station, Facebooking us, sending us messages. Are we safe? Should we be evacuating? So it's important to note that Chief Doan, as of right now, says everyone is safe in area subdivisions, but please stay out of the way of fire crews. Doug, you're right. A half hour ago, that fire was erupting behind you, and now it's literally died down, as you mentioned, over the ridge behind you. Good news there, no properties back there. What's interesting is, Doug, you asked Dennis Doan about fireworks, or could it be lightning? He said he's not sure yet, correct?
That is correct. They do not have a definitive cause at this time. They have all their efforts focused right now on fighting these flames, especially the structure fires that we've been talking about. We know that one house and also this other area up here to my right has been burning pretty strongly. Large flames are still shooting up from there. It is some kind of structure, a fairly large structure, because we aren't very close and it looks pretty big. Aren't sure if it's a house right now, so they're focusing efforts on that, as well as having crews stationed for structure protection. But we've seen the fire kind of move around as the winds shift. Now, as of right now, Maggie, one good note is that I'm feeling barely any wind right here. Now, we're kind of in a lower pocket blocked by the foothills, but it seems like the winds have calmed down. Of course, Larry would know more about that, but from earlier this morning, about 45 minutes ago, things have calmed down in terms of wind, at least where we are.
The wind was kicking this morning at around 1 a.m., 2 a.m., so that's why the fire was
25
raging.
to 30 miles per hour.
Yeah, it was strong out there. Well, right now, before we get to Larry, we're going to check in with Taylor Kemp. He says he witnessed the start of a fire near TableRock due to fireworks. We do want to mention Fire Chief Doan said he's not sure whether it was fireworks, lightning, exactly what caused this yet. They may not know until the sun comes up. But let's hear from Taylor about what he saw. Good morning, Taylor. Thank you for staying awake for us. Tell us from the beginning what you were doing. You were up taking photographs there at TableRock?
Yeah, it was me and my friend, and the whole reason we went up to TableRock was just to take pictures of Boise in stormy weather, try to capture that, you know, lightning shot. And these kids were clearly wasted, shooting off mortars at the top there. And I guess what happened is the wind just knocked over the mortar and it shot one straight into the grassy area. And as soon as that happened, they all grabbed their stuff and booked it. And I was a little bit up towards the mountain. I booked it down there, tried to put it out. I was a volunteer firefighter for 2 years in Pennsylvania, and so I was trying to contain it. And that, like you guys said, that wind was just crazy, and it didn't help at all.
So you did call and report this to police or 911. What did you do exactly?
Yeah, as soon as I noted it, I called it in. I can think of at least 3 other people that I passed by who were calling 911 at the same time. So
This very well could be what started the fire this morning, that is. We're not exactly sure what caused it. Actually, I should say late last night, because this was just before midnight when it began. Taylor, we appreciate your insight there. That could, in fact, be the cause of that. You could have seen it start. It could be a combination of the stormy weather, firecrackers, lightning. We're not exactly sure, but when the sun comes up, we'll hopefully get more information about that. We appreciate you joining us, Taylor, and we're glad to know that the winds are dying down out there. Thank you. And right now, we're going to get back to our Doug Petcash. He is live at the media staging area for this fire. And Doug joins us this morning. Doug, tell us what's going on with the fire behind you.
Yeah, Maggie, that has kind of flared up just in the last few minutes. Things were kind of dark, and then all of a sudden, we could see everything started to brighten up. You can see the flames getting bigger, and it's actually burning kind of down the hill right now. Brandon Hampton with the BLM just told me that that's called a backing fire because it's kind of backing down the hill. But let's bring Brandon back in now and tell me a little bit more about that, because you can see how it's moving. From our vantage point, you can actually see the fire creeping down the hillside.
Correct. The fire is a backing fire, so what it's doing is backing off the slope right above those homes in the Harris Ranch area. It's slowed down a little bit, which allows the firefighters an opportunity to get in there and start constructing fire line.
Now, you said it's backing down towards homes in the Harris Ranch area. So are there homes at the bottom of that hill that might be in danger at this time?
Well, there's homes at the bottom of the hill. We do have firefighters in that area right now. So we have Boise City around those structures. And we also have BLM crews and dozers down in that area as well. So right now the fire is holding on that ridge, but it is slowly creeping back down towards those homes.
And so at this point, it's a watch and wait and see for those folks. Don't have to leave at this time?
At this point, we do not have evacuations for that area. So yeah, let the firefighters get in there and do the job.
And typically in a backing fire, fire is going to fly up a hill. Is it a pretty slow burn, usually coming downwards, so you can get ahead of it?
Absolutely. It's one of those things firefighters look for because it does slow the progress of the fire down drastically. So it allows them to get in the fire area and really start constructing fire line. That's what they need to do in that section right there.
You mentioned building fire lines up there. How's that being done?
We have a couple of resources. One, we have fire engines that are using water to put hose lays out. We're also using bulldozers on the north end of the fire. We have one by TableRock and one above the Council Springs drainage, putting in fire line, removing the fuel and stopping the fire.
And how big of a crew do you have out there working on that?
Right now, we have numerous agencies on this fire. Boise BLM has approximately 6 to 9 fire engines out there right now.
Do you have an update on the size of the fire?
The fire right now, we still have an acreage of 800 acres. It is growing, not as rapidly as it was earlier this morning. It started to slow down, which has really been a good thing for the firefighters.
Seems like the wind has calmed.
The wind has calmed down drastically, as you can feel. Also, the humidity has come up. Those are two things firefighters look for because it allows them to get in there and start putting that fire out.
Now, we saw that it was burning back towards TableRock much heavier this morning, and now that seems to be pretty much out, and it's moving north as well as east?
Right. It was a predominantly wind-driven fire, which means when the wind subsided, the fire also subsided as well. Therefore, the TableRock area is not nearly as excessive with the heat in the fire as it was. The fire is moving north towards the Council Springs drainage, but in that area there are no homes and allows our bulldozer to get in there and start constructing fire line. Okay,
so obviously those ground crews have been out there working hard. Got sunrise in about an hour or so. What's going to happen then?
Well, as soon as we have sunrise, what we'll start is we'll launch our aerial resources. So helicopters, retardant aircraft, you're going to see a large contingency of aerial firefighting units in this area. One of those things, be heads up for that.
Okay. Brandon Hampton with the Boise District of the BLM. Thank you so much, Brandon, for the latest update on that. Now, what I can tell you is that over in this area, there is a home that was burned, and Chief Doan with the Boise Fire Department says that that structure is lost. The family is okay. Nobody was hurt there. That home was destroyed. There's another structure fire still burning up over my right shoulder, but the flames are smaller right now. We know that crews are up there fighting the fire, but at this point, the chief hasn't been able to confirm yet if that is a home or an outbuilding. He's been checking with command, but they don't have a definitive word on that just yet, Maggie. But the good news is, if you can pull some out of this situation, nobody has been hurt, and right now no homes are threatened. Keeping a close eye on the Harris Ranch area, though, as that backing fire comes down the ridge.
Yeah, it seems to have flared up, like you mentioned, behind you once again, so we'll keep our eye on that and make sure our viewers are abreast about what's going on here. Let's take a look at some of our first-person videos and pictures from the fire overnight. We started being inundated with photos, videos on Facebook and Twitter overnight, in our email. Just a lot of people out there awake, capturing photos of this fire because it was just so incredible to see there at TableRock. You could see it just about anywhere from the city, and lots of video and pictures coming in. You can check that out right now on our website, ktvb.com, or go to our Facebook page and you can see all that for yourself. A lot of people chiming in with their pictures and their video. It's very rare to see this right here in the middle of the city. And welcome back. We continue to follow breaking news this morning out of the Boise foothills. The TableRock fire still a huge problem out there for the BLM. Boise fire crews and just about every other fire department in our area chipping in on this fire. What we do know is that a wind shift, though, and a rise in humidities are allowing these crews to gain ground on this fire. It is moving away from homes right now. That's the good news. We're going to get to our Doug Petcash. He is live there at the media staging area where he's getting all the information from the BLM and Boise Fire on this fire. So, Doug, what's the very latest?
Maggie, what I can tell you right now is that the fire is still about 800 plus acres, and I'm joined right now by Boise Fire Chief Dennis Doan. And Chief, so far, okay, we do know that it's one home that was destroyed, right? Any word yet on what the other structure is now that it has been downgraded to two structures in this fire?
Yeah, two structures we do know. One is a primary residence. The other one I'm unsure of if it was an outbuilding or a home.
And you were describing the shape of the fire to me a little while ago and the directions it's burning. Can you set the scene and what we can't see behind this ridge of foothills here?
Yeah, the fire just kind of burns in a V pattern, so we get on each flank. And so there's a flank on the other side near TableRock, and then this one. And that's where the homes are. So that's where we've got most of our crews on each side. One near TableRock over there, and the other flank is over here, and we got crews over here.
Over here being Harris Ranch behind us?
Harris Ranch, right along Warm Springs here.
So is it they're in structure protection mode at this point, or are they actively fighting fire with water?
It's both. So we have firefighters fighting the wildland fire and then structures also. So we got multiple things going on and different types of apparatus. Working with BLM, we also have a dozer up on the hill too.
Okay, and starting to get a little bit lighter out here now, and the crews will probably be glad to see those air tankers and helicopters from BLM once the sun comes up.
Yeah, once we get some light, BLM will be able to help us out with some helicopters.
Now, right behind us, I'm not sure if because of the way we're set up here, if the folks at home can see the way the fire line is backing down this hillside towards Harris Ranch. That's a slow burn, and so you have crews stationed along there, but just to be sure, be careful, be safe. But you're not asking people in that area to leave yet, right?
Correct. We're not having any evacuations here at Harris Ranch. I live right there, only a few houses from the fire, and we're not asking them to evacuate. We have crews along there. It's burning down the slope, which it burns a little slower. The wind's not driving it right now, and the humidity's coming up, so it's working in our favor.
Since last time we talked to you, have you heard anything about a cause?
No, I haven't.
And no injuries. One good thing about that. Have you talked with, or has someone from your crew talked with the family that lost the home here on the ridge behind us?
Yeah, one of our deputy chiefs met them and talked to them, and we're trying to help them out.
Are they doing okay? I mean, obviously, emotionally, they've had a big loss. Physically, are they doing okay? They got out of there in plenty of time?
Yeah, he said there was no injuries, but I didn't get any other updates.
All right. Chief, thank you very much. Stick around. We're going to be coming back on at 5 o'clock. Hopefully we can get that update again from you at that time. But, you know, as we speak, this fire kind of has ebbs and flows. And right now, it just kind of got brighter again as the flame's intensity picked up. So, again, here we have 800 plus acres, 2 structures burned, 1 home, no injuries reported, no mandatory evacuations in place, Maggie, and still no definitive word on what caused this fire.
All right, we do have a witness that said he saw fireworks go awry near TableRock, so that could be the cause. We just don't know right now. We have to wait for sunlight to get an investigation going on that, and of course to attack this fire from the air.
Live from Idaho's News Channel 7, this is today's Morning News.
We are continuing to stay on top of the breaking news out of the Boise foothills. The TableRock fire has burned 800 acres so far. This is according to the Bureau of Land Management. 2 structures have burned. Earlier we had reports of 4. Now we're hearing it's 2, including 1 home. This fire began just before midnight. Table Rock Road, Shaw Mountain Road, Wild Horse Lane closed. Foothills residents in the area are asked to stay in their homes, stay out of the way of fire crews. They'll let you know if at any time you are not safe. Let's get to our reporter Joe Paris. He's out in front of Table Rock on the Boise side. And Joe, that is just an incredible scene behind you, and not in a good way.
And Maggie, it's gotten worse in the last few minutes. When we pulled up on the scene about 5 minutes ago, it seemed to be seceding a little bit, but the winds have picked up big time here in Harris Ranch. I'm on Barber Drive in Boise. You can see behind me all of the smoke and clouds, and I mean, you can taste the ash, you can feel it. My eyes actually burn, Maggie, and I mean, the last 5 minutes just really picked up. It's a terrible scene out here. It continues to grow. The neighborhood we're in right now has not been evacuated. Police tell me, though, that they're thinking about it. It's a terrible scene out here. They're trying to prevent people from going across the road. They've blocked off Barber Drive. A terrible scene out here, though, Maggie, and we'll continue to update you throughout the morning.
All right. Thank you so much, Joe, for that. Right now, we're going to get to our Larry Gebert and talk about the weather. 5:02 is the time, and let's go ahead and check in on that. And Larry, the wind's really causing an issue out there, really kicking up the fire. And you can see some of that wind is causing an issue once again this morning.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, of course, as we continue a lot of our coverage and what we're talking about here, we're also going to be looking at the conditions of what happened as that storm moved through. There was a storm. Now, as we've been reporting all through the morning, we don't know what the cause of this particular fire is, but we did have a storm activity that came through, and as we look a little closer, it started at about 11:30 or 12 in the Canyon County area. There were some fairly strong showers, and there were thunderstorms with that. It moved through the Ada County area by 1 a.m. and pretty much has moved out right now. Now, the winds have really calmed down. In fact, as they're calm in the Boise area, but they're just out of the west. They had a little bit of a shift in some of those, so now with some of these calmer winds, it will make some differences and will help. We still have a little bit of storm activity up around towards the north. What we will have, though, is cooler temperatures overall for today. Not by much. We got to 102 yesterday. Today's daytime high will be 97 degrees, so not as hot. Maggie?
All right, that should help fire crews. Not as hot, but still it's going to be hot today. Thank you, Larry. Brooke Green on the phone now for us, and Brooke watched a home burn across the street. Brooke, I know that was your sister's home where you were watching and had that vantage point. Tell us what happened this morning for you.
Good morning. It's been quite a long evening. Well, what originally happened is I got a phone call at 1 in the morning from my sister telling me she's leaving their house, that the fire's burning literally across the street, and so I went to go help her load up the dogs. And as we stood there, a couple hours in, I thought the structure was going to make it, and it just engulfed into flames and unfortunately caught fire. So my thoughts and prayers to that family. I can't imagine what they're going through right now.
Oh, I can only imagine losing a home that way. Earlier, we had heard that 4 structures had burned, including that family home. Now, Fire Chief Dennis Stone from Boise Fire tells us it's actually 2. So that's some better news this morning. That's that one family's home, and we're not sure what the other structure is, but they're trying to gain a handle on all of that this morning. Tell us about the smoke and the thickness and the difficulty breathing. This video shows people so close to these flames, just right across the street.
Right. The smoke was unbearable. Certainly my lungs hurt, my eyes hurt, and it really was. At one point the wind shifted and gave it a little bit of a break from the smoke, but it got so bad at one point we just loaded up and we're like, we've got to get out of here. So
it was time. It was time. It's just tough to breathe in these conditions. Thank you so much, Brooke. I know it's been a really long night for you and your sister, who lives right there in the Dallas Estate subdivision. We appreciate you joining us this morning and providing your video and pictures for us. Just a long night for a lot of people who have been up watching our coverage, checking their Facebook accounts, their Twitter accounts to make sure they stay updated on this fire. Once again, Boise fire crews do want you in the BLM to steer clear of this fire. Stay in your homes. They'll let you know if something happens where you are not safe. Let's go to our Doug Petcash right now. He is live at the media staging area getting a lot of information throughout the morning, Doug. At one point, the fire was raging behind you. Now it's simmered down a bit, but it's ever changing.
Yeah, Maggie, it really has been ebbs and flows here with this fire. It started earlier this morning to my right in this area by TableRock and then moved to the east towards Harris Ranch. The wind shifted and then blew it back north, which is away from any homes. Now, what we've been watching here for the last little while is this line of fire that is coming down this ridge. That is right above Harris Ranch. Fire crews are in place right there. There are also dozer crews in that area cutting fire line and slowing down that fire, but it is called a backing fire because it's backing down the hill. Those tend to burn a little bit more slowly, so fire crews have time to cut those fire lines, as well as have structure protection crews in place in that Harris Ranch area. Just a few minutes ago, there's a ravine here that's probably hard to see now because of the light, but the flames really flared up for a little while there, and the chief suspects that there's just more fuel in that area, but it wasn't very long, and then it died back down again. So let me bring in Boise Fire Chief Dennis Doan once again to give us the latest information he has. Chief, we're hearing still about 800 plus acres on this fire, and it's burning, as you said, in two flanks. Can you describe that?
Well, fires just kind of burn in a V pattern from the start, and it has two flanks, and we usually put crews on each side of the flank and try to put it out. So we got wind keeps gusting and moving and changing, and that's why you see the flames change. It's blowing it one direction, and it picks up, and then right now it's blowing against it, and it helps us out. So.
What's the situation right now in terms of homes, either in the TableRock subdivision areas or in the Harris Ranch area?
Well, here in the Harris Ranch area, we have crews and a dozer between the fire and the homes, and we are not evacuating anybody here. Up in the TableRock area, there's some trigger points, meaning if it gets to a certain point, we'll start some evacuations. But right now, there are no evacuations.
One home definitely lost, and possibly a second, but you're not sure what that second structure is, correct?
Yeah, I'm trying to find out if that was an outbuilding, a barn, or a home.
All right. And good news so far is that nobody's been injured.
Nobody's been injured. Our crews from Bureau of Land Management and Boise Fire are working really hard. Luckily, it's cool right now, but it's going to start getting hot as soon as the sun comes up. But they're doing a great job out here.
And we had heard reports earlier, someone told us that they saw people shooting off fireworks in the TableRock area, and they believe that may have started that, but you don't have any official cause at this point, right?
No, we haven't been able to. We're fighting the fire, and we haven't got on the start yet, or where, or how, or what, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Okay. No. Chief Dennis Doan, thank you very much. We'll keep an eye on that. And so again, Maggie, this fire is still burning. It has calmed down a little bit right now with the higher humidity and the calmer winds. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Doug, for that. We also want to mention Warm Springs Mesa from the north and east also threatened earlier this morning. Those people now back in their homes, but it's been a scary morning for a lot of people out there. Here are some viewer videos and pictures of the fire overnight. People have been up all night long taking photos, videos, sending them to our Facebook account here, our email, our Twitter account, and you can see a lot of these on our Facebook page right now. Check it out. A lot of people are posting first-person pictures right now. Let's get to some other news because there's a lot going on. New overnight, Nampa police say a person is in the hospital after a shooting near the Walmart on Franklin Road. That's right near the Idaho Center. They say a young female victim was shot in the upper torso in the Chevron parking lot across the street from the Walmart. Police found the firearm used in the shooting, and they have one suspect in custody. Police are looking for a black sedan-style sports car with multiple men inside. The shooting happened around the same time as the fireworks from the God and Country Festival. But here's some video of that shooting. A young girl in the hospital after being shot here in Nampa. This happened late last night. And a deadly two-vehicle crash last night in Nampa. Idaho State Police say Louis Garcia of California was driving a motorhome north on US 95 when a pickup truck crossed over the center line. Kenny Coberline of Middleton hit Garcia and rolled his truck. Coberline was ejected from his truck and died at the scene. This crash still under investigation. Also, Boise police responded to a stabbing at a North End home near West Sherman and West Ada Streets last night. This was just after 6 o'clock. Investigators say the suspect and the victim did know each other. A man was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The suspect also taken to the hospital for evaluation and will be taken into custody after being released there. No charges have been filed yet, as far as we know. And right now it's 5:10. We're going to take a look at your weather forecast right now with meteorologist Larry Gabbard. Hi, Larry. Good morning.
Good morning, Maggie. And of course, one of the things we're continuing to monitor as we see firefighters working this fire, the most important elements, the temperature, the wind direction, and humidity. And that's what we're looking at right now. Actually, you still see some of that activity in the background of our Skycam shot, but we're looking at 73 degrees. Now, the winds have become calm. This is measured, of course, out by the Boise airport. There could still be some breezes up around by TableRock where this fire is happening. Pressure is holding steady, but the humidity level continues to increase. It has been moving up. It's at 44%. That all helps. The other factor, too, is the sunrise, 6:07. But remember, aircraft can actually get into the air to work this fire as much as 35 to 40 minutes ahead of time, so we can actually begin to see some of that probably within the next half hour. They might be able to start launching some of that aircraft to give some air support. We're also looking at our live storm tracker 7000, and while we don't have anything that's happening right now, we do still have some showers that are moving up through some of the mountain areas. But in our area, most of this has begun to break up. Radars are still active because we're looking at some activity up around through portions of Boise County, a little bit through Gem County as well. But for the most part, in this area where TableRock is located, things are dry, and the winds have also begun to calm down even more than what they were earlier. So as we take a look at the West Coast, the reason that we even had storm activity that came through was because of what's called monsoonal moisture. That's what some of this is that comes in out of the subtropics. We had high pressure that's centered in over the area. Now it has a clockwise rotation. It tends to pull in some of this moisture. Then what happens as it starts to slide down to the east, it could still push a little bit more in. We're not completely out of danger yet, but it begins to flatten the jet stream. Low pressure moves through. The flattening of that jet stream then will actually kind of cool things down just a little bit. Well, the timing of that storm as it came through from last night, there was lightning that was involved with some of that. Again, we don't know the cause of the fire right now. That's still under investigation, but there was some lightning in the area. And of course, from the northwest perspective, you can see that we will still have just a little bit more in terms of some of these showers through portions of like the Magic Valley and also the Treasure Valley. But it's going to be the mountain areas is where we're really kind of concerning ourselves with a little potential for showers as we head into the weekend. So for the forecast today, starting in the Magic Valley, here we're talking about partly cloudy, mostly sunny skies. Cooler overall, upper 80s and lower 90s for today. So we're seeing some improvement in those temperatures. And for the west central mountains and the central and the Sun Valley, Wood River Valley, we're talking about the 80s. We're also going to be looking at partly cloudy skies, upper 80s, a little bit warmer still for the west central mountains, but starting to cool a little bit. There's no triple digits in the forecast for today, although we're going to be very close, still upper 90s. For the lower Treasure Valley with sunshine, the upper Treasure Valley still has sunshine and up to 97 degrees for today. Your 7 First Alert 7-day forecast where your weekend is always in view. Cool down is on the way. If you look at Monday, 4th of July, we're now talking 89 degrees and close to normal by the middle of next week. Maggie?
Thank you, Larry. Over 800 acres burned on and near around TableRock this morning. 2 structures have burned so far. That's 1 home and 1 structure that we're not sure of, but we continue to cover the TableRock fire this morning live. Join us for that after the break. And welcome back. Continuing live breaking news coverage of the TableRock fire right here on News Channel 7 for you. An 800-plus acre fire burning near TableRock, and it's causing a big hassle out there and quite a show for people who are watching and lined up around town outside their homes checking it out. Let's go to our Joe Paris, who is live, and he is in Harris Ranch. And Joe, it looks kind of ominous there behind you. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm on Barber Street in Harris Ranch, and as you can see behind me, the flames are at a distance from the neighborhood. I talked to a few neighbors, and they were telling me that it looked a little bit worse earlier, and the way the wind has been fluctuating back and forth, the winds have made the flames grow in different directions. And one neighbor told me that at one point it looked like the flames were coming right at the neighborhood. She was very scared, but a shift in the wind, had to go all the way to the other side. And it's a very smoky scene down here. I mean, you can taste the ash, you can really feel it on your skin. A lot of neighbors are coming outside to see what's going on, but over the ridge that you may be able to see, that's where fire crews and other crews trying to get in the way of this in case the flames do turn again. It's a really close scene out here, but Maggie, right now it looks like things are okay here in Harris Farms on Barber Drive, but the fire department is here on scene just in case the winds do force the flames back the other way.
All right, thank you, Joe. Harris Ranch, it's interesting because we keep going out live to Doug and Joe. We'll see a flare up, then we'll see things die down, then we'll see the flames flare up once again. And That could have something to do with the weather and the winds. So let's get to Larry and find out more about that. Hi, Larry.
Well, one of the things, of course, that we're watching very closely are the winds, the temperatures, and the direction of those winds. They kind of keep shifting, as Joe pointed out. In that area, they will. Right now at the airport, we're actually listing calm winds for the Boise area. We're going to look at the time lapse for this. We did have a storm. Now, again, as Joe and also Doug are reporting, there's no definite identification of what started this fire, but we did have a strong storm and some lightning. Most of that went through Canyon County. That's where we saw most of this storm activity. It was about 11:30 to 12. Then by about 12:30 to 1, it finished moving through Ada County. We have not really had a lot of showers in there since. And as we take a look, it is actually calm officially at the Boise airport, but of course we still have just a little bit of circulating winds up around the foothills and of course near Table Rock. Live Storm Tracker 7000 shows that there's still some storm activity now that's moving out through some of the central mountain areas, but right here in our area we're not seeing very much as we move in closer to Table Rock. We don't see any shower activity right now. What we're looking at is just relatively light winds, but they are shifting a little bit, but humidity levels are up and temperatures are still warm in the 70s. Maggie?
All right, Larry, thank you for that. And right now, we have an update on some defective airbags that may be in your car, Takata airbags. This morning, federal safety officials are issuing an urgent new warning after tests found some of the airbags may be even more prone to deadly malfunctions than we originally thought. If you drive an older car, you're being urged to take action right away. NBC News has exclusive coverage of this story from Tracy Potts.
This is what's left of a 14-year-old Honda Civic after a collision in March. When the airbag exploded, teenager Huma Hanif was killed. Brand new data has federal officials desperately trying to reach owners of older cars like these.
With this new data, we know how bad it could really be. Literally flipping a coin in a crash, you don't know if you could end up having this shrapnel coming at you.
NHTSA estimates there are 300,000 of these older cars on the road that have not yet been repaired. Notifications have been sent, but some owners haven't followed up.
I'm here for the airbag service.
New tests on these older cars with Takata airbags found that when people drove them in hot, damp places like Florida, along the Gulf Coast of Texas and Southern California, the inflators malfunctioned, causing an explosion that sent shrapnel flying. In lab tests, the inflators ruptured 50% of the time.
Of the 10 United States lives that have been lost, 8 have been in these vehicles.
Many cars in this new warning have been recalled since 2008. Honda says 70% have been repaired. It's the other 30% they're trying to fix, one car at a time. Tracy Potts, NBC News, Washington.
And in a statement exclusive to NBC, Honda says it is taking extraordinary measures to reach owners. Millions of letters, phone calls, text messages, media ads. They've even hired private investigators to track people down. Police responded to calls of a shooting just before midnight 2 nights ago on Bridlewood Circle. We brought you that story yesterday morning. Officers Joe Martinez and Jason Green say when they got there, Alan Amundsen of Cuna was standing outside of a home. Investigators say he had shot a man inside the home and then began shooting at the police. They returned fire and an unnamed officer wearing body armor was shot in the chest. Amundsen then shot and killed himself. One neighbor who says she lives next door heard the whole thing from inside her home. She showed us where one of the bullets hit her daughter's bedroom window.
So I went to look out the window. I heard some commotion, so I kind of cracked the window so I could hear. And I heard somebody calling for my neighbor by name, "Are you okay?" And after that I heard 5 more big bangs. I hit the floor and crawled into my room.
The officer who was shot was treated at the hospital and released. Investigators trying to figure out if body cameras or audio recorders captured any evidence there. Our Morgan Boydston found out how officers are protecting themselves during and after traumatic events just like this one.
There's nothing normal about what we see on a day-to-day basis, but there's absolutely something normal about how we react to it. We're human beings, just like anybody else.
Human beings that need a solid support system after facing trauma.
We do have some pretty intense situations that happen here occasionally.
When officers are involved in situations like a shooting, what Boise police call critical incidents, the department has a procedure in place.
When you are either using deadly force or having deadly force used against you, it's a pretty big deal.
The department gives them 3 days of administrative leave to regroup.
It really helps them to just go back out there the next day and tackle it again.
And offers mandatory counseling through a mental health professional experienced in dealing with first responder trauma.
We're gearing up and making sure that the officers who were involved last night will have that opportunity before they return to work again.
They also have a peer support team made up of other officers who have gone through a similar situation in the field.
It's one brother or sister officer leaning on another.
As well as staff that are specially trained.
As you look around the country, there are incidents happening like what happened here in Boise last night on a daily basis.
Which is why in most law enforcement agencies across the nation, wearing protective gear like this is not optional.
I mean, you can only do what you can do to stop those threats, and that's what this is. So
Curtis Blue Line provides body armor to departments across the region.
So you have the ballistic panels that are actually the protective layer that's doing the work, and then you have what holds it.
Jason Richards says there are 4 different levels of certified armor that officers will wear depending on a number of factors.
Basically, the faster the round moves and the sharper it is, the harder it is to stop.
A main consideration is the type of incident an officer is responding to. Unfortunately,
It's a matter of time until one of those guys that we sized for armor is shot at or hit.
Morgan Boydston, Idaho's News Channel 7.
Jason Green was one of the officers involved in the incident there. He fatally shot a man back in 2015 after that man pointed a gun at officers. Green was cleared in the shooting, but we did ask Captain Winiger about the cumulative stress that might come along with that. He says Green is the first to tell other officers that the counseling and support the department offers is very helpful. And we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we have more about this 800-acre fire burning north of TableRock, threatening homes on the Mesa, near Barber Park, Harris Ranch area. A lot of people up watching this fire overnight, but the good news is Boise Fire Chief Dennis Doan says people are safe as of right now. They will let you know if that changes. And welcome back to our breaking news. Live coverage of the TableRock fire in the foothills. 800+ acres burning near TableRock right now. Our Doug Petcash live there at the media staging area getting the very latest information on this. And Doug, I want to reiterate what Chief Dennis Doan said to you earlier. He said no people living in the area are in immediate danger. Is that still true?
That is still true, Maggie. At this point, we just learned that the BLM says that they haven't reached their so-called trigger points that would have mandated mandatory evacuations, and so those are not in place, and they are not asking anyone to leave their homes at this time. The area that we have been watching very closely is right behind me, this line of fire that's burning down or backing down that hillside there towards Harris Ranch, but it's been very slow. I'm going to bring in Brandon Hampton right now with the BLM just to give us a quick update on the situation right behind us there above Harris Ranch.
So the fire is still at 800 acres, still growing, not growing nearly as quickly as it was earlier this morning, but is moving toward the north from Harris Ranch.
And what resources do you have out there now?
Right now we have numerous resources from a variety of different agencies, both city and federal. We have bulldozers working above Harris Ranch, putting in fire line as we speak.
Any homes in danger in that area being threatened? I mentioned that no mandatory evacuations are in place.
Correct. Our incident commanders established trigger points that when the fire got to a certain location, they would have evacuations. Thankfully, those haven't been reached, and the Harris Ranch community is still safe.
And just briefly, about 10 minutes ago or so, 15 minutes ago, we saw a flare-up behind TableRock. What happened there?
Some of the vegetation behind TableRock, so just north of the parking lot where the cross is, reignited, and our firefighters got right on that. And as you can see, the fire's been put out up in that area.
I have to keep asking, any word yet on what may have started this fire officially?
No, but our investigators have been here all morning, and they'll be here throughout the day investigating what started this fire and hopefully get to the bottom of that.
And how long until we see air crews start attacking the flames?
We'll probably see air crews probably within the next 2 to 3 hours. Our pilots will all be coming on, both for our helicopters and our retardant aircraft. So in a few hours, you're going to see a lot more equipment in this area.
Right, so planes and helicopters?
Planes and helicopters, absolutely.
All right. Brandon Hampton with the BLM, thank you very much again. So Maggie, there you have it, the very latest from our location here at Marianne Williams Park, just not far from where this fire has burned more than 800 acres, including 2 structures. One of those we know is a home. The other we're not sure yet.
And that family did get out. They are safe. But once again, if you live in that area and you're watching coverage right now, you need to be aware that they tell us you are safe until you get notification otherwise. They are attacking this fire. They're trying to take care of it. And as soon as the sun comes up, we're going to see a major assault from the air on this fire. Lots of air tankers and help coming in that way. So that's going to be a great thing. We have been on the air since 3:30 this morning covering this on and off. And there's been a lot of stuff discussed, including one young man who told us he saw fireworks set off near Table Rock that he believes started this fire. We're still not sure what the cause is. Investigators, as we just heard from the BLM, are on scene trying to figure that out. And we talked to Dawn Green, who lives in the area there. Here's what she had to say about waking up to that fire right outside her home. Take a listen.
When we first woke up, they were huge lights. Like all the trees in the hills right in front of us are gone completely. But that fire really went straight for that mesa. So I don't know what the structures look like over there, but it went fast.
So a lot of frightened neighbors in the Mesa area, Barber Park area, Harris Ranch, and right now that fire inching toward Harris Ranch, but it is being controlled right now by the fire crews on scene. Once again, no one is in immediate danger right now. If you are, we will certainly let you know, and the fire department will let you know. You'll get a knock on your door, but right now stay out of the way of fire crews. Stick with us as we continue to follow the development of this fire. Just incredible video coming into our newsroom this morning. 800 plus acres burning right now in the Table Rock area. We will be right back.
Live from Idaho's News Channel 7, this is today's Morning News.
And welcome back. We continue our live breaking news coverage this morning. We've been on the air since 3:30 this morning covering the Table Rock fire for you. What we know right now is that the fire is 800 plus acres and threatening people have felt threatened this morning in their homes in the Mesa, Barber Park, near Harris Ranch. But fire crews tell us people are not in danger right now. Earlier this morning, that was a different story. The winds kicked up. People were really concerned. They were packing up their cars. Right now, though, no one is in immediate danger. Please stay in your homes. Stay out of the way of fire crews. If you're in this area, they will let you know if you are in danger. Our reporter, Joe Paris, in front of Table Rock on the Boise side. Joe, let's take a look at what you're seeing.
That's right, Maggie. I'm in Harris Ranch on Barber Street, and if you take a look behind me, the flames have subsided a little bit since about 10-15 minutes ago, and we had a really big flare-up with some winds. I've been talking to some neighbors here in the neighborhood, and they're very concerned coming out of their houses. Should we be evacuated? Are we safe? And for now, firefighters are saying that the Harris Ranch area is okay. You can see just over the ridge, there's some vehicles pulling out of a lot, and just over this corner, there's actually a bunch of vehicles. There's a big gravel pit where they've been able to put in a lot of emergency vehicles. It's been a great staging area for them. They've also been moving concrete and some gravel, trying to make a line there in case the fire did come back towards the neighborhood. They'd be ready to fight it. Fortunately, though, the fires have been going away from the neighborhood. The winds have been generous here the last 10-15 minutes. The smoke has also started to go away a little bit. You obviously can still smell it here in the area. A lot of neighbors are waking up to that smell coming out of their houses, wondering what's going on. For now, though, they are safe. Again, there are no evacuation notices in this area. Fire crews, though, are still waiting just to be safe. As you can see, the flames still burning in the distance. But for now, though, the ranch is safe over here. And Maggie, some really good news as the wind starts to push the fire away from the neighborhood.
All right, thank you, Joe. You can see that video live behind him there. Really just incredible images coming out of fire crews working hard there. Here's a look at the sky cam. You can see the smoke billowing up into the sky. It really is bad out there, and you could probably smell it, taste it. You're breathing it in right now. It's rough out there, Larry, and that's going to have an impact on our air quality, isn't it?
Question. We already had, we're already in a yellow air quality alert. That continues. This is only going to impact it a little bit more because we still have high pressure that is still kind of centered out there. And in fact, you can actually see from the Northwest Satellite and radar how some of that monsoonal moisture pulled up through as that high pressure continues to slide. So it did pull some back. Now, with the time lapse, we can kind of see how it came through, starting at about 11:30-12 in Canyon County, then moved through Ada County. There was lightning in the area. Again, there's no official cause for the fire. That's still under investigation, but we did have some storm and lightning activity. We didn't have that, but some spots did have some brief heavy showers, but not all locations. Winds for the most part right now are being reported as calm in the Boise area, but up around the hills, as Joe and Doug have been reporting, we do have a little bit of some mixing of winds. Your live storm tracker 7000 shows that most of those showers now are shifting off towards the north and the east. Maggie?
Thank you, Larry, for that. And right now we do want to get to an interview we had earlier this morning with Taylor Kemp. He says he witnessed what he thinks is the start of this fire from fireworks. Take a listen.
Yeah, it was me and my friend, and the whole reason we went up to Table Rock was just to take pictures of Boise in stormy weather. try to capture that, lightning shot. And these kids were clearly wasted, shooting off mortars at the top there. And I guess what happened is the wind just knocked over the mortar and it shot one straight into the grassy area. And as soon as that happened, they all grabbed their stuff and booked it. And I was a little bit up towards the mountain. I booked it down there, tried to put it out. I was a volunteer firefighter for 2 years in Pennsylvania. And so I was trying to contain it, and that, like you guys said, that wind was just crazy, and it didn't help at all.
And we do have some viewer videos and pictures of the fire overnight as well coming into our newsroom. Just incredible captures from you, our viewers, a lot of you up taking photos. Just can't believe your eyes this morning. It really is incredible to see this happening right in the middle of the city. It's just amazing. And we're going to keep you posted on this fire this morning. We have live crews out just about everywhere where the fire is affecting people, and we're going to keep you posted right here and online on our Facebook account and our Twitter account. You can share your pictures with us as well if you need to. You can do that on Facebook right now. Once again, if you live in the area of this fire, if you're just waking up, you're concerned for your safety, you need to know this. Boise Fire Chief Dennis Doan tells us you are not in danger. Once you are in any kind of danger, you will be made aware of that right away, either from us, from them. So keep watching right here. Stay in your home, stay out of the way of fire crews, and just do your best to be patient until the sun comes up. That is when a major air attack is coming in to take care of this fire from the BLM. They're getting ready to bring in some air tankers, water tankers, obviously, and take care of this fire for us. We'll have to wait and see when the sun comes up what that's going to look like. You're definitely going to hear it in the sky. And right now, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We will be right back. And welcome back to our live news coverage of breaking news overnight. The TableRock fire still burning. You can see the massive cloud of smoke over the city of Boise. This fire started just before midnight last night. We're not sure what started it. Reports from some of our viewers say it could be fireworks. Then the winds kicked up those flames. People were really scared for their homes. One home did burn. Another structure is damaged. We're not sure if that's a home or not, but look here at TableRock and the cross, and you can see the flames behind that. 800+ acre. It is growing. So let's get to our Doug Petcash and find out more about this. Doug, I guess the question a lot of people out there have right now, if they live in the area where this is happening, what they should do, what areas are in danger. Can you ask those questions?
We're going to ask those more specifically in just a second, but what I can tell you, Maggie, is that no mandatory evacuations are in place. Fire had been burning down a hillside towards the Harris Ranch subdivision, but Boise Fire Chief Dennis Doan, as well as the BLM, tell me they all have crews in that area doing structure protection just in case, as well as actually fighting those flames and cutting fire lines to keep the fire away from the subdivision. So no evacuations are in place. That has not had to happen this morning. As the sun starts to come up, we're starting to get a better view of how much area has burned. This is kind of the mesa, or the backside of the mesa area behind me. And you can start to see that whole hillside, that whole part of the foothills is blackened now, a large chunk of that 800+ acres that you mentioned. But right in the middle of all of that blackened area is a house that is untouched. The lights are on. It looks like there is no damage around the perimeter of its property. So apparently those folks have some very good defensible space that has been created around their home. There is one structure that also in that same basic area that burned down that we don't know if it's a home yet. And there is one house now, as we pan back over this way, that is in this area behind me. You can still see some extra smoke coming up out of there, and perhaps some emergency lights. That is or was a house that has been destroyed. The family is okay. They got out and they're doing fine physically. Of course, this is a terrible loss for them as well. But again, now as we move further this way, you can see the orange flames that are still burning and moving more and more to the east in that area. But a bulk of this fire is also going to the north because the winds had shifted that direction earlier this morning. I'm going to bring in Boise Fire Chief Dennis Doan once again, just to give us the latest information on what we have happening here. Is this still being fought basically by two divisions on two different flanks, or maybe four flanks?
Yeah, correct. There's crews over near TableRock and then over here at Harris Ranch. It's getting pretty close to Barber Road. My wife is sending me pictures from the house, but we'll be able to stop it here at Barber. So we're not evacuating Harris Ranch right now.
So obviously you live in that neighborhood, your wife is staying at home, so the advice now for people is to stay in their houses. They don't need to evacuate, but just don't get out in the roadways so you don't get in the way of crews, right?
Yeah, I know it's time to go to work, and I know people need to do that, but don't come down here and be clogging up the roads on TableRock or at Harris Ranch. Our crews need to get in and out. When the light comes up here pretty soon, we'll be able to get resources in the air, and we'll be able to get some helicopters to help us get this under control.
Yeah, let me just ask you straight out. Maggie was wondering, I'm wondering as well, just as plainly as we can say, are any people or any homes in danger at this time?
Not that I know of. Right now we think we we don't have the fire under control, but it is burned away from homes. It's burning down the slope, so it's moving slowly. We think we have a line cut. We have 4 dozers on scene. So yeah, I think we're up to 4 dozers. So it's definitely not under control yet, but it's not burning towards homes.
The acreage hasn't changed a lot over the last couple of hours. Is it still being just called 800 plus?
Yeah, I'd say it's probably closer to 1,000 acres is the last report I got. But it's burning fairly slowly on this side. The humidity and the wind is helping us out. We'll be able to stop it at the road on this side, and hopefully they're getting a good stop on the TableRock side too.
Now, you told me earlier that it is definitely one home that was lost in this fire, but also one structure. You have crews on those scenes at this time. Any word yet on what that second structure is?
No, I'm not sure what that second one is. We'll do our best to find out if that was a home or an outbuilding.
And we've seen some flare-ups, and and then it calms down again. Is that just as this fire hits pockets of fuel?
Yeah, fuel load or the wind shifts. As it's burning downhill, it'll go slower, and then when it gets in a ravine, it'll pick up again and then head up a hill, and it starts burning faster, and you'll see more smoke and more flames.
Now, we saw earlier this morning, it was just a wall and a long line of flames, and now we're kind of seeing pockets, this one particularly right behind you here above Barber Park. Do you have any word on how strongly it's burning to the north in that direction that it was burning before, and what's back there?
No, I'm not sure how it's how fast it's moving to the north. There's not a lot of structures back there, so we're really focusing on the TableRock area and the Harris Ranch area, because that's where the homes and the life and the property that we need to protect. And then it probably is still moving north, but like I said, I know a dozer is working its way around that side on the north, and hopefully we'll get that contained pretty soon.
And the family that lost their home, you're looking with your other administrators to help them out?
Yeah, our deputy chief was with them. We got the burnout fund, we got Red Cross to try to help those families out.
Real quickly, no update on possible cause at this time?
Not yet. We haven't got to take the time to focus on that yet.
And again, no injuries, right?
No injuries. I haven't got any reported of any firefighters, but they're doing a great job. This is heavy, steep work. We got houses on fire. We got a wildland urban interface fire. We're trying to protect a lot of homes, and Bureau of Land Management, Boise firefighters are working pretty hard this morning.
Yeah, a lot of different elements here. And some of these foothills are pretty steep. So can you describe what it takes to fight a fire like that for a brush crew?
Yeah, it is difficult to be cutting hand lines up here. It's very steep and difficult to get up and down the hills. And some are dressed in their full structure fire protection gear, right? So they're up there protecting homes, and then maybe it takes off in the wildland urban interface area, and then they got to go try to fight that fire. And sometimes that's difficult to get on the right gear because it changes. It goes from a house fire to a grass fire.
And you'll be switching out crews around 7 o'clock this morning. It's been cool through the night, and about the best conditions possible probably for temperature-wise for firefighters, but we're looking at close to 100 degrees again today, so that's going to be top of mind as well, right?
Yeah, hopefully we can get it out before it gets real hot, and we can get a line around this entire fire, and before it gets really hot, we'll hopefully have it out. There's a crew shift change right about 7:30, so we'll be rotating some crews through here.
And have you heard an update on maybe percentage of containment at this point, or has anything come down?
I haven't heard that yet.
All right. Chief Dennis Stone, thank you very much, sir. Check in with you again a little bit later today. But again, you can see that they are focusing on those structure fires as well as protecting homes. Maggie, still hanging at about 800 plus acres. No update on the acreage size or percentage of containment at this time. But again, it's really interesting to see 2 structures burned and then one that was right in the middle of all that blackened area, still pristine with no damage.